Welcome back. Choosing those priorities on something like President's Day is a big deal because you do have time to maybe reflect. And people might also be sitting at their home today looking at certain things they like or don't like. And although you may not want to turn it into a rental, as Jared was talking about it earlier, or even have a roommate, you may be looking at your house and thinking, hey, it's just not exactly what you want right now. Kevin Johnson joins us, co-owner of Johnson Brothers Construction. Welcome, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, there's the, you actually talked about this, the king of remodeling projects, which I like. And we'll get into what that is because it's kind of like putting a crown on the house. But this is this second story addition versus I think what most people think is just expanding their house if they're going to add on. Talk maybe a little bit about, this going out versus going up.
Well, you basically have a couple of options when you're looking at a project, and a lot of times if you're thinking about going up versus out, a lot of our city properties have lot line restrictions. We've got setbacks, we've got rear yard setbacks, front yard setbacks, property lines, and a lot of times to get the space that you want, you're just not able to have the square footage in your lot as is required by city codes to do the things that you want. So going up is really a great alternative to possibly doubling the square footage of your home, creating a whole new living space, and really coming up with a basic major transformation.
And I mean, this is a major project. I mean, this is not your weekend warrior add a second story deal.
It really isn't, and it does involve a lot of planning. It involves a big commitment on not only the homeowner in terms of taking the time to come up with the ideas and basically assist in really helping to identify the parameters that they want from their home. And so it really is a commitment, oftentimes of 4 to 6 months worth of involvement, and that's just construction time. So sometimes the planning can take 6 months to a year just to get things ready to go.
The planning could take 10 years. You might have been thinking about it that long. What are some of those benefits of really going up? I mean, you talked a little about square footage, but adding a second story, you're almost building a new home.
Yeah. It is. It's a very exciting project, and going up is a to take the whole roof off of a house, do the necessary protection for existing elements that are important to the home, and adding 1,000 to 1,500 square feet is really a dynamic project, and the end result can be stunning not only from a design standpoint, but also just how we tie into an existing structure. We want it to look like it was always a part of the original design.
So you're not just stacking an old mobile home on a new one.
That's right.
For lack of better terminology, there.
We don't want to put a box on a box, and so that's where the initial design and planning comes in to really come up with something that has some great street appeal and yet still has the floor plan and creates the space that our clients want.
Can every house support this type of project? I mean, can anybody add a second story?
Well, there is a misconception that some houses you can't do it. They don't have the right size foundation, or they have certain structural issues. But we've learned to overcome that, and your modest home with a 6-inch foundation, we're still allowed to add that second story, but the building regulations have become more stringent over time. We've got to do things like earthquake retrofitting. We have some shear wall parameters, things that really help that existing structure support that new weight up top.
And so when somebody decides to do this, I mean earthquake retrofitting, and I mean, this is depending on the house and what you have. Like you said, I think it becomes a big commitment. It really has to become a priority and something you truly want. This isn't not something you probably just choose to do one day.
And that's true. And a lot of the reasons that people decide is, maybe they have kids that are going to a local school and they don't want to relocate. Maybe they like the neighborhood for a number of reasons. again, schools or church, or it's close to their work. And this is a great opportunity to get the new spaces that they want, and maybe allow for a growing family, maybe allow for different changes in their lifestyle. Maybe it's some handicap issues, whatever it may be. Staying in the existing property is oftentimes a very good thing for people.
So what kind of top to bottom, I mean, what's kind of that process somebody should start with? And we have a couple minutes before we have to go to break, but what is that process that people go through to determine if this is the right fit?
Well, what we offer is we have an initial consultation. Somebody has an idea that this is something they'd like to do. We like to just meet with folks. We do sort of a reality check on not only the commitment from them, but also some general budget parameters, and talk about what the goals that they're trying to create in the project, and from that point, then it starts an information exchange that allows them to decide if it's the right project, and allows us the opportunity to help them along the way.
It certainly would take some strategy, and I mean, time frame. You talked about time frame. People probably aren't living in their house while this is going on either.
Yeah, most of the time we recommend that people move out. We have a phrase, whatever your affinity for disruption is. We have done major projects where people want to be there. They'll want to tuck themselves into a corner, and we can leave
with the plastic wrap, keeping the dust out.
With the plastic dust tents. But most people find, and it really is better if they can find a nearby home and rent for 6 months or so, while we can just have the run of the place and make sure that keeps our crews efficient, and that we're not having to worry about the dog or the cat and the kids running around.
Well, I would imagine the small dog that barks at you, if it's anything like my small dog, he's barking at everybody everywhere they go. So
yeah, he's going in the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. So you talked a little bit about budget parameters. Do you tend to think that adding a second story is typically a good investment? Is that something you're going to get a lot of a lot of value out of?
Well, it's a hard question to answer, because we don't necessarily understand values, real estate values, but we do have the general belief that the dollars you invest in your home are for the most part direct value added, and oftentimes a second story allows someone to capture a view, or maybe it's a view of the water, or a territorial view, and those are just added benefits that one gets by going up, and the cost of the project is the same whether you capture that view or not. But with all the hills and terrain around here, and all the beautiful mountains that we have either east or west, it's very possible to gain that view, and it makes for a stunning project.
Well, Kevin, thanks so much for joining us again. Kevin Johnson, co-owner of Johnson Brothers Construction. When we come back, Heather Moore is going to join us, and we are going to start talking a little bit more about what people are looking for out of their professionals these days. My name is Ben Brashen. That's Kevin Johnson. You're listening to Brashenomics.